right, welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone on AYV Television and Radio. Don't forget to send your comments and questions about the issues we're discussing on our Facebook page, Africa Young Voices Media Empire.
In our first discussion this morning, 3 months ago, the Central Bank of Sierra Leone announced the redenomination of the country's currency, the leones. According to a draft press release, the last 3 zeros in the currency will be dropped. This change is applicable under Section 30 of the Bank of Sierra Leone Act 2019, according to the Central Bank. This means that 10,000 leones will be 10 leones, and this will be equivalent to $1 US. The Central Bank also gave 3 months to effect the change of the currency, and the 3 months has elapsed. So this morning, to discuss this issue and more, we have Cyril Djengo, a development analyst, and we're expecting to have someone from the Bank of Sierra Leone to join us in the discussion. Good morning, Cyril, and welcome to the program.
Good morning to you.
You're very much welcome.
Viewers.
In our studio, we also have David Mikcha. He's the Executive Director, CADAP, I hope I got that right, World Incorporated, and he's here to talk about their work to run the country to implement economic, digital economic infrastructure in the country. Good morning, David, and welcome to the program as well.
Good morning, and thank you.
You'll explain more. I see you have some equipment with you.
Yes, so
You'll have to explain more about it. But let's start. Let's start with Cyril. Cyril, the Bank of Sierra Leone, as I read in the intro, they clearly announced some 3 months ago that will be removing some zeros from the leones, and that was received with mixed feelings from the public. People who were economic analysts, I can recall Dr. Lako wrote a very good article about it, explaining his own side of it. But 3 months down the line, we are still using the old leones, not the new leones. Is it that we weren't prepared before announcing this, or it was just a political economic statement?
Well, it would have been nice if we had had somebody from the bank here.
Hopefully we'll have them
to sort of explain that. But like I said at the time, the 3 months period was not feasible because it entailed a lot of complex things. You cannot just overnight change your currency or redominate the value of your currency by just waking up in the next morning. It means that at the time that the bank governor made his statement, we should recall that the president was out of Sierra Leone. Mm-hmm. And since he returned then, there should have been kind of endorsement from him. But I don't think we have ever had any endorsement. So while the bank has the power to redenominate a currency, there has to be a political backing for it. There has to be a cabinet paper.
But don't you think the governor will not just go out there and make a statement like that without discussing it with the president, without confirming with the president that in 3 months' time we should achieve this?
There we are speculating. It's 3 months. I think somebody on this AYV was announcing last week, oh, it's now 3 months to the date. We're still waiting. So it means that there could be some problems. But however, let's note, changing, redenominating your currency involves a lot of cash, a lot of foreign exchange cash to affect that. That could be a problem. We have not yet had the president or the minister of finance themselves, endorsing it. And the last thing we saw as a prelude to it was when the bank governor was meeting with the Forex guys. He met with the guys dealing with Forex. And he was explaining to them the rationale for this redenomination. Since then, it's cool. Steps are necessary. What are the steps we're talking about here?
And those are very important. Let's understand what's the process of this redenomination of the economy.
One, it has to involve, do we have the Forex, the foreign cash, the US dollars? Two, ensure we redenominate. You have Thomas De La Rue there. They accept a foreign cash to do the printing. Do we have it? Do we have the political endorsement of it via cabinet paper? Have the governor met with MPs who in turn will engage constituents? Have we seen the governor meet, apart from the Forex guys, have he been meeting with other industrial sectors in the country to sort of inform, to educate and engage them. No, so basically, since the announcement in August, there has not been any systematic move in terms of the political will and endorsements, nor do we know whether the bank has the foreign cash to effect it. And thirdly, we are not sure whether MPs have been involved yet. At least if they are involved, it means they have now got the power to take it to their people. So we are in a quagmire. We're not sure. And I'm thinking that the bank governor has to explain what's it. Is it that President Bio thinks it's not sensible? Or could it be that the IMF, our donor partners, think it's not necessary? There are many issues there that is making us want to ask, what is the reason? But like I said...
And there's still Sierra Leoneans with mixed feelings on this. There are those who believe it would solve our economic problem or go a long way in solving it. And there are those who believe it's going to make the situation even worse. From an economist perspective, what would be the value added to Sierra Leone's economy if we go down this road to actually devalue our leones?
The value will be non-existent in the sense that your 1,000 leones would simply be 1 leon. So in terms of the intrinsic value, in other words, being able to buy more or buy less, it remains the same. However, and critically, the huge cash we carry around is a security threat. That redenomination would ensure we carry less cash with us, and at the same time gives a feeling of challenging inflation. In other words, we have a problem with inflation. So that sense of checkmating inflation also plays into this redenomination. So therefore, it is, while not having any intrinsic value, in other words, it cannot increase your salary or whatever, it does give you a sense that we are restarting the economy. We are saying we are now at a phase where we can reset the economy. That is what it brings to the table. But in terms of your salary being higher, no.
So the value actually is just abstract. It's just in the mind.
It's a mindset thing. But then, like I said, if you want to take now 1 million leons, that's 4 wards of 5,000 leons. Not huge cash. What if you paid 5 million leons? That's 10 wards of 5,000 leons cash. That's too much. When you redenominate 5 million leons, it's a mere 5,000 leons. That is safe for you to carry around you.
So I'll ask you again, with that being said, that it's really just, it comes down to the mental value to say, mentally, there's this redenomination of our economy, not adding, any direct impact on fixing the economic problems. Is it worth it for a country to spend all the resources we would have to spend in this process just to get us to a point where it's a mental benefit?
It is worth it if there is the fiscal side to it, if there is the export side to it, if there is the industrial effort to sort of produce much more in the country. Absent that fiscal policy via the Minister of Finance, who would arrange the budget to say we plan to increase our spending on agriculture, on education, on mining, absent those real-time economic effects, redenomination has nothing to it. But then it still may be necessary because it gives us a feeling of resetting our economy. Sort of, we are now an economy that is starting afresh. Remember in Ghana, in 2007, just before their redenomination, it was 9,400 cedis to the dollar. As we speak this morning, it's still 6.2 cedis to the US dollar. So it means those who didn't in the cities feel that sense of value in their currency, even though it is not really of any effect on the earning power.
Is this about fighting inflation superficially to the public, or adhering to an IMF conditionality rather than fixing the economy properly?
it can't help that imagination that, well, my money is now of this value. Imagine, 11,000 leons now for, say, the US dollar to the leon. Then it becomes one leon 10 cents. That sense of value is very important to it, but minus the impact of government policy to boost exports, to boost industrial growth in the country, it makes no sense.
So meaning it won't change inflation that much. It will mean the same rush for foreign currencies for importers who want foreign currencies to import rice. It will mean we are not exporting much as well. The economy stagnates. It's still the same way. The point is, how will this change the economic status of the individual, or how will it change the country's economy? How will it, especially when we'll be spending to do it? Well, it will change the perspective of the consumer, of the industrialist, of the So it's more about behavioral change, or ideally
thinking that it is of value. Imagine, like I just said, 11,000 leons for the leon exchange rate to the US dollar. That's 10,000 and plus 1,000 leons. But when you knock off those zeros, it's less cash in your hands. But then it has to be backed up by having the export base to keep it that low. Otherwise, year after year, $1, which could be, well, 1 leon, could still be 2 leons to $1, 3 leons to $1, and as we go by, it continues to increase because you have not gotten the economic fundamentals.
So what should have been our priority? Is it about, I'm asking again like Phoebe was asking, could it not have been about us fixing, the economy, supporting private sector to a stage where we are and say we are ready now to redenominate and go to remove the zeros, so we'll be able to sustain it. Should that not have been our focus or attention to that aspect of the economy?
You were here last year. We were all here last year when we were hyping the Boom Rice project, which is supposed, to halt and reduce perhaps our imports of rice. Because according to the business guys and the Ministry of Trade, we're spending over $200 million a year in importing rice. Now, that could have been a fundamental economic fix if by this time, in this November, we are now having bumper harvest. We now have an end-to-end process where we're saying, well done, we are now reducing our import of rice. We will not sort of even exporting rice. That could have a very real-time effect on the redenomination, because it means international trade and currency revaluation has one meaning: your currency against other currencies. Your currency's weight against other currencies' weights. And how do you ensure that weight? It is by your ability to be industrialized. And the rice project, for me, though not a fully fledged industrial effort, was one key means by now, that government has announced that effective December, we will be importing less rice. In fact, we will be exporting rice, which would have an impact on the money you're spending, year on year to import rice, reducing. So if you're spending $200 million a year to import rice, and you're now producing the same, it means zero forex going to dollar. And that shows up. And I should say, much of the value of our currency depends on our, what we call balance of payment deficit, and our reserves that we held there at the World Bank and the IMF. We have to have enough reserves. How do you get that reserve? For now, it's by donor supporting us. Okay. You are a poor country. We're giving you budgetary support of this to show up your reserves. We are yet to be sort of producing our own reserves. Besides that, injected into the economy by financiers.
Okay. And I know we need to move over to David, but in a bit before we do that, Cyril, I've had a conversation with a couple of people about this announcement by the bank governor, and I found out that even with the guys who do foreign exchange, the black market guys, leones became very short. Before now, people were chasing after the dollar, so much more, of course, foreign currencies. Now, even to access the leones is a problem. People don't want to hold on to the leones. And that has led to more problems. Was it a smart move as a country to make that announcement at that particular time, considering the problems we have?
Some analysts do agree with you that the announcement itself caused many people to sort of lose, the business interest guys, the big guys, to lose some interest in our leon. But remember, last year, December, we were actually having so much dollars that the leon was scarce for you guys who want to spend Christmas. You have your money value in your account there. You want the cash, there is no cash. So it was at that time, dollar looking for leons. But let me tell you one thing. I don't know if you've suspected that really. When we lifted the lockdowns, you know, when we were allowing the fly-ins and fly-outs, what did you see? We saw a rapid, fast-track depreciation of the leon, which tells you one thing, that the rate of depletion of our reserves was rapid. So if there was to be a worldwide lockdown now, in which people are to stay in their countries, the leon would basically be stable in itself, because there is less stress on the reserve dollar. But once you have this flying spree, you know, ministers, business people, and all going out, they need forex.
More.
And that forex is not a business.
So frequent
forex.
mass traveling also contributes to the disparity between the leon and the foreign currency.
Exactly. Now, look at this, when March and April, when the flying spree started, you know, official trips or whatever, even leon stars too were going out. What are you saying? The leon basically is dropping in value because there is heavy demand on
for
dollar, which is unavailable, except when partners shore up our reserves.
So the argument, we'll come to David quickly. The argument the bank governor has been putting up is that the denomination will stabilize the foreign exchange and as well. But the point you're making is, it seems if we can't fix the economy properly, fiscal policies and exports, we still will have the same problem where the leons will depreciate and the dollar will continue to value. Is that the case, even if we remove the zeros?
Zimbabwe did the same redenomination. Remember that during the time of their land crisis. The moment they knocked off the zeros, the next day, it was just a couple of days, it kept on growing again, growing until they said, well, no more Zimbabwean dollars. Let's now adopt the US dollar. So, for me, I am not yet seeing a convergence of the bank on determination and the political will. In other words, there has to be that convergence, wherein the Minister of Finance is endorsing the effort. I don't know if we've had that.
No, not yet.
But the Minister of Finance has endorsed it. So that absence of a fiscal endorsement leaves this entire thing unsure. But I think, if you ask me, we want it because it will help to give the feeling of a value to our leon. It will give security to our currency. And it will be kind of a restart that from today, we are restarting. However,
mentally,
it will not solve the fundamentals of our economy, which is just one thing, just one thing.
Phoebe's take-home salary won't change.
Capacity.
Prices won't change of items. It's just a mental.
It's just a mental thing. It's just because when they say they knock off the 3 zeros and your salary is 3 million leons, it's just a mental thing that, okay, it's not me selling this bottle of water, which is 5,000 leons now, it's just 5 leons. But however, for you to have that stable mental thinking, the color of your 5,000 leons will be the same as in the 5 leon notes. the color, the design of the 10,000 leons will be the same in the 10 leon. If you dare make any changes to those, when you bring in the new currency, wahala don't come. Because you are supposed to sort of say, well, this is 10.
But the vice president just announced that the highest currency. He made that announcement. It was in the news summary just now that the 20 leons will have, you know, the face of a woman, the former mayor, so Constance Cummins John. So it seems you're going to have some changes with the currency.
Well, it is going to be for the 20 leons, which is new, you know. And like I always suspect, in Sierra Leone, we have what I would call an orthodox way of doing business. People would want to chase the 20 leons. Remember, when it comes to changing in coins, there has to be coins. How many of us are ready to accept coins? 1 leon, 10 cents. So those things have to be carefully thought through. Okay. And the 20 leons, which is going to be different, we have to be very careful because its difference itself could create a problem for us who know of 10,000, 5,000, 2,000, and 1,000.
It will take us time to understand.
What's this.
But continue to stay with us, Cyril. Hopefully, we're still looking forward to having someone from the Bank of Sierra Leone. We've extended invitation to them. You know, it's been too long. We hope today, if they're watching, they will definitely come and join us to you know, join the conversation and give their own side of it. But with the Vice President announcing it at that event, it seems we're already going to have the new leons, the new currency. But to continue the discussion, we're talking about the economy. Let's move to David. David, I see you have some gadgets, and we're talking about digital economy. What is it that you're actually doing? You know, we're talking about redenomination, reducing a lot of money in the pockets or hands of people, and letting them understand that they can go digital. So, what is it that you're doing?
Thank you very much, and I think I have to get some economics lessons from the gentleman here. But what we are doing as a company, our company is Cadap World Incorporated, and what we do is we are into digital economy. So we did a research for 5 years between 2012 to 2017. We studied 54 African countries, 200 top banks, and 500 top companies in Africa, and we realized that there was a gap, and that gap is Africa's digital infrastructure. And that if we don't build Africa's digital infrastructure, that we will not be able to move African countries from low-income economy to high-income economy, primarily because if you look at the trend of economic shift, we're moving towards the digital economy. And if you look at what is the raw material to harness the digital economy is data. And if you don't have that data, which you ride on a digital infrastructure, you will not be able to thrive within the digital economy. And so after our research in 2017, we designed a technology service offering. So we are a technology company. When we say we are a technology company, it means we have technologies to deploy, we have human capital that develops technology, and then we have affiliate research facilities where we can develop technology. And so we began to source some of these technologies to immediately begin to look at how we can influence economic shift within the continent, and specifically dealing with moving African countries from low-income economy to high-income economy. So the digital economy infrastructure that we are rolling out is connectivity for all. It means we have the capacity to connect everybody on the continent. We've signed that 500 Gbps. The entire Australia, I think, is doing about 10 Gbps. We've signed 500 Gbps for each DIA, direct internet access, not tonnage that we buy from, from the telcos. And so we've signed that for all countries in Africa for 10 years. And that would mean that will give us the opportunity to tag everybody with regards to connecting everybody. Currently, you have about 20% of our population around that access the internet. We have about we have 8.7 million phones in the country, as against our population of 8.1, the official data that is available. And you have about 20% of that connected to the internet. And so if we want to digitize this economy, it means we have to connect that. So we've signed with companies like OneWeb that will connect you directly from the sky using satellites. We've signed with local ISPs because what we do is incremental thinking. We don't remove the existing players. We ride on them because we have far more advanced technologies that we deploy.
The digital economy you're talking about, is it about every other transaction? Me doing business, like I go to Congo Tong markets and want to buy, I can.
Yeah. So you know, he was talking about us trying to rebase our economy and redomination of the currency, removing the zeros. Those are efforts that the government is trying to do to psychologically and maybe see whether it will have effect in the real economy. So we deal in the real economy. What we do is we unearth Africa's underground economy. 80% of Africa's economy is in the underground economy. It's not captured by government. So I give an example. The loans, the reason why the central bank, there is kind of inflation, the primary reason is because the loan does not get back into the formal system. So if I go to the bank and collect 100 million loans, for instance, I don't have that money right now, but I'm just supposing. I'm just supposing. If I do that, I take that and begin to buy things because I have needs. The person I'm giving that to, the supplier I'm giving that to, does not take it back to the bank.
It stays in the informal economy.
Within the informal economy, that is 80% of our economy. And the primary reason is because we don't have the levers to do that. We don't have the technology. It's hard science, pure hard science. We don't have the technologies to connect the central bank to the commercial banks, to the lower segment of the financial sector, the MFIs, the apex banks, the savings and loan schemes, and then come back into the formal sector. And so suppliers move money, business people who collect money from the bank when they are paid, move money between them and their suppliers, and those suppliers cross borders, those are currency. Exactly, and maybe go to Guinea and others and buy and come back. And so government is not able to capture that loans that left the bank, and it now stays within the local economy or the underground economy. And so when there's a demand for loans, they go out again and print. They go out again and print, they go out again and print, and then you begin to experience this issue.
And pardon me, David, from a layman's perspective, I struggle to comprehend and grasp this because where is the loans used anyway? It's just in Sierra Leone. So the loans out of Sierra Leone should not be valuable to any other individual. So how do we get to a point when we experience scarcity sort of the loans itself? The dollar, Forex, we can understand. All the other foreign currencies, you can use them out of Sierra Leone. But loans, we only spend loans in Sierra Leone. Worst case scenario, some parts between Sierra Leone and Guinea or between Sierra Leone and Liberia, but that's it.
So the problem is because our economy is not digitized, and that's what we're trying to do. So you connect the people, you bring a global, this is a global payment platform and infrastructure. There's a difference. When you have, for instance, I want to use the company that you're advertising with, Africell, right? So when you have AfriMoney, for instance, AfriMoney is a kind of a mobile money. It has nothing to do with the global financial infrastructure. The global financial infrastructure that we run on systems like SWIFT, and others, for it to, what Phoebe was saying, to move beyond borders and be accepted in those other countries and be used as a means of storing value or exchange. And so what we have in this system is that because we're processing on the largest bank in the Western Hemisphere, Chase Bank, and this was licensed using the global financial infrastructure. So we have all currencies in the world. We can do dynamic currency conversion to all currencies and all countries. So if a business, if a local business, for instance, in Dovecourt is here, and that particular business has a catalog. This system has a catalog system, and the goods that Mamiebu is selling at Dovecourt is in that catalog, and it's integrated into a social platform like Facebook, where I can sit at the comfort of my house. I'm connected to the internet and decide to buy from Dovecourt and uses Mamiebu's catalog and buy, and then I get that, or I go eventually and collect it, buy online, pick in store, or buy and then it's delivered to my place. And that process is what that brings Mamiebu at Dovecourt into the formal economy.
Mm-hmm. But with the formal economy, again, the infrastructure is a problem.
Yes.
I've seen things like this. I can recall my pay. There was this competition organized by the Bank of Sierra Leone where innovators like you went, they competed, they won. The implementation has been a problem. And most times they've been talking about the infrastructure with the banks themselves, you know, being able to provide you the service and the system to able to connect Mamiebu with the service she wants to be rendered. What the status of the infrastructure?
So the infrastructure is not existing. I can tell you that the infrastructure, that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do, because you can't roll out applications. For instance, if you look here, you see applications here. You can't roll out applications to 800,000 people that are online. For instance, the National Revenue Authority is talking about ITAS. Let's assume even players in our economy are up to 5 billion or 6 billion. You have 2 million connected. The remaining 3 million, where are they going to get connectivity to get onto ITAS? So these are some of the things. So we need to connect the country. That tells you our system within Zood Labs, the landing station, to the infrastructure of the telcos. The connectivity infrastructure is shifting to satellites. We have that arrangement right now. But that's not the point. To answer,
would come back to that shortly. Please hold your thoughts in a bit. It's 8:45, and it's about time we take a break. After that, we'll come back to continue the conversation. Stay with us.
Welcome to Sierra Leone. No, the real Sierra Leone. Today's Sierra Leone. It's part of who we are. It has been for over 100 years. We get Sierra Leone. In the past, we got things wrong. Now, we're making it right. To show we are putting people first and care for what matters to them, for the milestone, for the big moments, for the mere necessities, for the go-getters, the trendsetters, for the next generation. Forward with today's Sierra Leone. As a bank for Sierra Leone, Rokel Commercial Bank, the bank of choice.
Welcome back. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone, and we are talking about the economy this morning, from redenomination to digital economy. David, you were talking about the challenge with the infrastructure and what you're about to do to address that.
Yes, so there are two things we need to discuss with regards to infrastructure. So there is a global financial infrastructure that the entire economy of Sierra Leone is not exactly connected to that. Yes. So I give you an example. So for our economy to be integrated into the global financial infrastructure, we have to have a national gateway, which is a national switching system. And then we have routing systems between commercial banks to the central bank switching system. And then you have terminal operating technologies like us that we go right into the village and in your bedroom in the village to connect to that commercial bank switching routing system that is connected to the central bank. But then the central bank switching system has to also connect to the global financial systems like Visa and MasterCard that have the recent technology in terms of security. So you have PCI compliant security systems that have to be in place. And you also need to have, I think it's ISO 2000 or something that they have developed newly, that the Pan-African payment settlement system is working with. Now the Central Bank of Sierra Leone is not there. So I used to be at the Digital Financial Working Group at the Central Bank. The World Bank came, they met me there, they saw everything that I had, and they decided to fund us 10 million euros or whatever. Mahmoud was there and others were, Sartin and others were there. You know, they were trying to develop something. We already had, I mean, everything. We already had a platform. And so even the understanding of these technologies, you see banks build, they release these buildings, put safe there, get somebody to get them workers. That's how they operate. So they don't have resident development where maybe 100 developers, they hire these people and then they come and they provide a service and then they bring it to the clients. So they don't have that technical capacity. And I remember the World Bank was saying that the IMF or World Bank, because they called me at Radisson Blue in a separate meeting and said that we've realized that you have what it takes to digitize the economy, but you're not. I said, no, I'm not part of the competition because for
and those
reasons.
people who won that competition have not been able to implement their project because, like you said, the switch, the infrastructure isn't available. So the point is, with all this you're trying to do, getting the people from the informal sector to the formal sector so that they can be able to do business, how feasible is it?
So it's feasible. So the reason why it's feasible is because that time was 2018. I think 2017 going to 2018 towards the election. Now, government has made some progress. So when the new NRA boss came, one of the things they decided to do was the cash register, the implementation of the cash register. And the cash register, the laws, the income tax law says that if you are doing business, you have to save the data for about 6 years, and that data should be in a computerized form, and that the NRA should be able to access that data anytime they want to access. So what Jibal did was, Dr. Jibal did was to activate that. And once they activated that, people like us were in business already because I have the cash register here. It's a digital cash register. So it takes all your products. It takes about 8 million. It can take the entire population of Sierra Leone, actually 500 stores for this one, and 8 million products. So that cash register integrated into a solid technology like this through cloud system can integrate with ITAS. Now the NRA has also done theirs by putting their cash register in shops as well. They're trying to roll that out. But that's not the only problem. How do you connect those ones? It's going to deal with solid technology like Android. It's going to deal with connectivity for you to have that data in real time. You know, so those are some of the things. The next thing is you need to be able to ensure that you can fix basic processes, administrative processes, or internal operations of businesses. So for instance, if I want to invoice somebody, if I want to, for instance, communicate with my supplier, if I have to do packaging, if I have to tell my customers when I have new products. So those systems, this is a super convergence within a single system that first of all connects you to the global financial infrastructure, and then connects you to your external environment as a business. You're talking about suppliers, you're talking about customers, you're talking about government regulations in terms of paying your tax and all the rest. And so these are systems that we have already that you don't really, and it's a platform in the sense that the banks, all banks can use it. It means they can bring their own, for instance, Africell can come and sit on this system, you know, as AfriMoney, Orange can come and whatever, or the commercial banks. So you need to have a system like this to make this feasible. Because of one, interoperability. Because, for instance, if I have AfriMoney, I have to communicate with other companies. You know, if I have a bank card, I have to communicate with other banks. You know, I have to go to a bank ATM that is not mine and then interoperate and get my service.
And the banks, it seems the banks and the MNOs seems to be connecting each other. We can see people are using their mobile monies now to connect to the bank. So how do we go beyond that, you know, where I can use my mobile money as well, or my bank account and pay for products or services, you know?
So it's like technologies like these. Because, you know, a technology like this, for instance, takes all types of payment in the world, all cards. It takes all banks, all mobile money, and it has within its internal system the capacity to interconnect all of this.
Okay.
But also link those local players in the financial sector to the global financial infrastructure. So for instance, if a business has this, it will sell to all countries in Africa. We're talking about the African Continental Free Trade Area. So for instance, we've signed with the Afro-Exim Bank. Afro-Exim Bank is the primary funder of the African Continental Free Trade Area. And they've implemented two systems, the Mansa platform that has to identify you that you are a legal business in Africa. So we're onboarding businesses in all countries in Africa. They've tapped into us to onboard businesses in all countries in Africa to do that because we have this kind of technology. Okay. The next thing is the Pan-African payment system. They've also, we've also signed with them, and also they've also tapped into us to ensure that a Sierra Leonean business can tap into the 3 trillion market in Africa. These are the ways we'll fix our economy, because that's what you were saying.
But fixing them, David, you hold a Visa card, and you probably want to do online shopping. It becomes very inconsistent. There are days when it would work, there are other days it doesn't work. When you would go to the bank, they would tell you probably the server was down or something. As local as even going to a filling station to utilize your card to buy or even use mobile money is a challenge. Everything we do is physical cash. When we want to use our cards internationally, it poses as a challenge sometimes. How do you come in?
Yes, so I remember the the Sierra Leone Commercial Bank, you know, they wrote me and said, we have a problem, we want you to solve that for us, we want you to solve our processing for us. So we have the cheapest processing in the world because we process on Chase Bank. And so the processing capacity gives us, first of all, the opportunity for you, because we have all cards in the world on this system, gives us the opportunity for you to process any card, whether local card or international card, on this system. That is one. Two, for you to be able to do those transactions online, you need a robust security system. So you can't buy with mobile money. Somebody tried that in Uganda, $50 million was sucked out of the system immediately. So you need to have PCI compliant systems, you know, ensuring that you have a solid online platform that you can. So for instance, if you steal this, if you come to, let's say, my office and steal this, so this has a virtual terminal that is like this. It's a virtual terminal. All I need to do is go online and activate that virtual terminal on my phone and still collect your card payments and do other payments. So, but that is because there is a robust security system. This is the only open payment platform in the world because of its security. So security is the reason why you don't go online and do those transactions.
Let's take messages. We've got many of them, a lot of questions, comments, and suggestions as well. I'll take this first one from Mori Mustafa. He says, David Mikja, how can we incorporate the digital economy into our banking sector? And not everyone in Sierra Leone that is using internet, especially those in the villages, it will take time for them to understand how digital economy operates.
Abdullah Bundu Contest says, we simply don't have to sell out our gold, diamond, and other minerals. Use these metals and minerals to give value to our currency. We can create our own gold, diamond reserves, simultaneously stimulate or set up industrial changes. Joe B. Bangali Jr. says, we don't have a gateway. That's the main problem for us to see our economy going digital. Abdul Kaba says, denominating the Leone is one thing, but my question is, how will that affect the prices of goods? For example, if a bag of rice is sold 400,000 a bag, how would that be sold after? And Ronald Beresford says, without continuous electricity in Sierra Leone, it will always be a struggle. However, your efforts must be commended, but the internet connections countrywide is also another problem. So until the infrastructure are in place, your project remains impossible for the business sector and the informal sector. Abdullah Bundu Conte says, imaginary change, nothing to strengthen our currency. Swissman says, why not using the ECOWAS currency like dollars so that we can be able to buy goods and to travel in our neighboring countries instead of leones, which I cannot move with anywhere. Ronald Beresford says, the leone will only appreciate if the fiscal policy is in place. That is, if we export produce goods and services, which in return puts the value in the Leone. But that isn't the case in 60 years of successive governments running of the economy. We import more than we export, and no economy develops on such.
James Amos Kagbo says, I hear one of your panelists just said that when there was lockdown, the Leone was stable, but when people started flying in and out, the Leone started depreciating. But what happened in the case of Guinea, where during lockdown, both countries, the Leones and franc, were of the same rate? Why is it that after lockdown, the franc become appreciated? That's a question I'm sure Cyril will have to answer to.
It's Dan Moss says, all I know is the same money we're using becomes, decreases only in zeros. It doesn't make any value in our currency. I don't see any improvement on it.
Abdulrahman Tiwuri says, even if we make this change, if we are not exporting more than we are importing, this change will not make good to our economy.
Ibrahim J. Oscar says, Lamgana, the only way we can fix the economy, let's start by exporting, not changing the money. Changing the money can't fix our economy.
And the final one I'll take is from Abdul Kabai. He says, denominating the Leone is one thing, but my question is, how will that affect the prices of goods? For example, if a bag of rice is sold at 400,000, how will that be sold later when the denomination has happened?
John Gbani says, Sierra Leone's economy is in the hands of foreign individuals. Government doesn't even know how to control the foreign currencies. My own name is John P. Gbani from Bo City. Gentlemen, messages on Facebook. Your response to the messages will start with you, David, and then head to Cyril.
Yes, so I'm very sort of talking about the infrastructure. So what we have after our research is connectivity for all, power as a service. We have about 20%. Somebody says 40%, but 20 to 25% of Sierra Leone connected. Sorry, power in terms of electricity. Yes, so we provide power for all SMEs where we put the system. So we connect you, we power that transaction because you have to power the transaction to capture the transaction. And then we have cloud facilities to ensure that we also have a captive audience within your locality, 15 kilometers. Our objective is to cover 15,000 people so that you have a local market. In addition to those who go online with social media interactions with your business, and also the global market in terms of the diaspora and the African continental free trade area. So that's how we've designed it. We also have satellite technology, and so we have signed with satellite companies like Planet, and so they've given us 10,000 square kilometers of satellite data. That tells you, with satellite applications, who is planting, what are they planting. We have algorithms that could tell you the capacity of rice that we are producing. You don't need somebody to come to TV to do that. We tell you, look, this is the amount of rice that is being produced. This is the group. So I give an example, for instance. Let's say, for instance, Bo District. The population is 800,000 people. I'm not sure that's the correct number. I'm just giving numbers. But if the rice production as per population growth of maybe 2.2% or 2.3% per annum is not, let's say the production of rice is not the same as the population growth, then there is a problem because there'll be more demand for rice and the price of rice will shoot up. So we have satellite technology that can determine that. And I can tell you that, look, this population is not feeding well because it's not producing well. But we also have satellite applications for agriculture, for instance. We could tell you where to plant, when to plant, and what to plant. We have about 12 of those products, some of them in Sierra Leone, all combined on this system, this single system.
Someone spoke about, asked about internet connectivity as well. Apart from the electricity infrastructure that you're talking about, how about communities that want to do business but they're not connected?
Yes, so what we have done is we've signed for 1 gig. The entire country, I think, is using about 10 gig. We'll sign for 1 gig. We'll sign for 500. Our initial contract with our, we have suppliers credit. That's how you do business as an entrepreneur in Africa. So we have suppliers credit for 500 Gbps DIA. Direct internet access. I'm not talking about tonnage. So you have about 4 or 3 types of this. You have direct internet access, you have tonnage, and then you have the others. But we are bringing direct. It means 1 gig going, 1 gig coming. Now the challenge with that is SALCAB or Zoot Labs. You understand? Because it's one ACE cable that is coming into Sierra Leone. Whereas I do the same business in Nigeria. I'm taking 30 Gbps into Nigeria right now because the Nigerian government has hired our company to build the non-oil sector to improve Nigeria's non-oil export for the next 10 years. They've hired us already. We've signed an agreement with the Nigerian government. I'm taking 30 Gbps to the first 3 locations. And I can come via 3 or 4 ways into Nigeria. In Sierra Leone, you have to come via
different
ACE.
service providers.
Exactly. In Sierra Leone, you have to come via ACE. It's costing us 70-something thousand euros to do that here in Sierra Leone. For 1 gig in Nigeria, it's costing us 16,000. So these are the issues we have here. Somebody has to take a decision to open SALCAB or whatever Zoot Lab and ensure that the gateway is opened. It's not. It doesn't make anybody money. It's a you know, it's like you are saying that we close this thing as a bottle and people pay us high and make money. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It is, if I connect 3 million Sierra Leoneans and I make $1 a day, I'm making $1 billion.
You make more money, more people
Exactly.
connected. Okay, David, as we try to round up, this service, has it started already or you are in the
We've started already. What we've done is we've fixed the infrastructure in one location. We've done the cloud integration. We've done the internet integration. We've done the power integration as well to power the transactions. And we've also done the global platforms in terms of digital stores that can work for a particular store, and also the virtual stores as well, so that if you are within particular radius. So what we are doing is, Sierra Leone is beautiful. We are divided by even distribution of population. So we have, let's say, 22,000 people in a ward. And so we have 8 locations, 15 kilometers. We cover a ward of about 35 kilometers square. That's an assumption that we have. But with that, we can cover the entire population in a ward. And if you're a business, and then we have developed Globus, which are developed partners, so it has digital visibility. So we're taking everybody within that particular ward to be visible digitally. It means you give us your information that you are Lamrana and that you are involved in TV and editing and all the rest. And so if I need to edit some of my videos,
so you're providing visibility as well.
Exactly, digital
so
representation.
how do businesses, if businesses that want to be part of it or individual, how do they get into
Yes,
it?
so what we are doing is we first of all have arranged to bank 3 million Sierra Leoneans. We signed that. We were supposed to sign that with Sierra Leone Bank. We did everything and it went south. We signed that with a Nigerian bank. We're banking 3 million Sierra Leoneans on their card. We are launching the first 200. So once we are coming to the community, we identify a shop. We first of all connect that shop. We put our telecommunication systems to cover 15 kilometers radius, point to multi-point of that shop. And then we bank the clients of the shop. And then we provide services for the clients of the shop so that they can trade with that shop. And then the digital representation starts. By taking you into that platform on a PCI compliant.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, David. Cyril, a lot of questions about this happening. It seems we don't know if it's going to happen. Like I said, we invited the Bank of Sierra Leone. Unfortunately, no one showed up, and that's very unfortunate. Hopefully, they will find time to come and discuss this issue. But what should Sierra Leoneans expect if this is actually going to happen? Imagine I'm a Sierra Leonean who's got money in the bank. What should I do? I know of people who are converting their loans to dollars or euro
right
and saving it in the bank. That is also causing some panic. And he was talking about the informal sector. You have a lot of people who have the loans at their homes and they're not taking it to the bank.
Well, we are now in the dark. We are wallowing in the dark, trying to find our way through the darkness. The Bank of Sierra Leone has to tell us, are they going to effect this redenomination? If not, why not? And if so, what's happening? So far, so good. Your money in your bank is safe because there is no thorough insight yet as to where we're heading. So there will be no effect on the value or on the exchange of your loan in the bank compared to the redenomination. So unless the bank governor comes out again and provide enough information as to where we're heading, in my own view, I do not think there's a synergy of approach between the bank governor and the Minister of Finance, because both of them should be selling this out. Both of them are required to push this through. So for now, I think if we were making any speculation, it would be very idle unless the bank tells us where are we heading with this denomination. But it is necessary, like I said, because it gives you a sense of value to your currency and your ability to have security, wherein you have less cash but of the same value. Somebody was talking about the traveling spree and how it affects the exchange. Yes, indeed. You know, I have watched it very carefully. Once we reduce our demand for dollars on non-development purposes, it's more of recurrence now. When we start to use our dollar to make developments, create businesses, expand businesses, then it have an impact on your loans. But if we're simply using recurrent expenditure, going out on conferences, going out on workshops and whatever, there's no value to the loan. But if you begin to use that forex that you earn to build up the industrial level of the country, increase agriculture, increase manufacturing, you tend to see a value come on the economy. So I would think that any sober government would always have an eye on its reserves against its recurrent expenditure, its non-development expenditure. But normally, as we can see, we do not seem to see that synergy of, well, how much do we have there as foreign reserves? Do I need to go out on these trips and avoid dipping my hands to the reserves? Or do I need to use the reserves to boost the SMEs? Government has been doing very good thing of recent times, in which we saw the EPFETS pool, this NAXA, giving out cash.
The quicker action economic recovery.
But that again has some problem with it. While you were helping the SME, the mini businesses, they are much more there to just spend, really. We have to see a policy of providing this cash for mega businesses.
Okay. Cyril, we'll definitely have you some other time to discuss this further. It's been a very, very, educative, productive discussion. Hopefully, we'll have the Bank of Sierra Leone accepting our invitation and coming to the show to let the public understand. It's very important for the public to understand what is happening, where we are, and where we are going. It's about the economy. It's about the bread and butter issue as well. But thanks very much, David and Cyril. Thanks for your time this morning. This is Wake Up Sierra Leone. We take.
And this is where we'll end today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. Our quote for today says, all citizens, regardless of their gender, must be treated equally in all respects under the law. Discriminatory laws will hinder growth and national development. That's an apt quote that comes from Lara Taylor-Pierce, a Sierra Leone chartered certified accountant and now suspended Auditor General of Audit Service Sierra Leone. Thanks
to our sponsor, Commercial Bank, for their support. Thanks to our guests that have joined us this morning. Continue to stay with AYV throughout the day as we have other exciting programs coming up. Till we meet tomorrow with more interesting issues on Wake Up Sierra Leone. We have been your presenters. I am Amadullah Mwanaba.
And I am Phoebe Nswil, wishing you a lovely day and a productive week. Cheers.